Oil dependency in Latin America raises fundamental questions about its long-term sustainability. A detailed analysis of the current situation reveals a complex reality that requires deep evaluation. Currently, the region obtains approximately 4.4% of its gross domestic product from hydrocarbon production, with a notable concentration in certain countries where fossil fuels constitute up to 70% of exports. Venezuela, Colombia, and Guyana exemplify this dependency. Thus, the question arises, how long can Latin America depend on oil? Venezuela, which holds the world's largest proven crude reserves, currently faces a significant crisis following an explosion at the Muscar Operations Center that has limited the country's natural gas supply by more than 60%. This center provided 63% of the country's natural gas consumption, affecting the power grid, petrochemicals, and iron ore production. The situation is further complicated by the recent arrest of former oil minister Pedro Telequia, part of an internal purge at PDVSA following President Nicolas Maduro's controversial re-election. Despite these challenges, the country has managed to increase its production to 904,000 barrels per day in the second quarter. Meanwhile, Guyana's case is particularly significant. Besides its oil fiscal revenues reaching nearly 10% of GDP in 2023, the country has become the main export locomotive in the region. ECLAC projections indicate a 77% increase in goods exports and 31% in services for 2024, substantially outperforming the regional average, driven by oil reserves exceeding 11 billion barrels. Guyana deserves particular analysis due to its strategic position in the Amazon and Greater Caribbean. ExxonMobil's discovery of significant oil reserves has transformed the country into an epicenter of geopolitical interests. This situation is complicated by internal political and ethnic divisions, plus the historical territorial dispute with Venezuela over the resource-rich Essequibo region. Northern South America has consequently become an arena of competition between global powers, with active participation from the United States, China, and Russia, while noting Brazil's notable absence. Further north, Mexico's situation illustrates the region's energy transition challenges. Despite efforts to achieve fuel self-sufficiency, the country imported an average of 513,000 barrels of gasoline daily until September 2024. With current production at 1.8 million barrels per day and projections of 1.89 million for the near future, Mexico faces the challenge of balancing production, refining, and exports while contemplating diversification toward clean energy in new sectors like lithium. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, presents a balanced perspective. The energy transition must be progressive and planned. This position finds support in statements like those of Brazilian President Lula da Silva, who maintains that current global infrastructure doesn't allow for an immediate abandonment of fossil fuels. The oil market's volatility in 2023 demonstrates the need for economic diversification. Price fluctuations, influenced by Middle East tensions and variations in Chinese demand, have been striking, with WTI prices falling more than 7.5% from their July 2024 peak. Economic diversification emerges as a strategic imperative. Latin American countries must develop alternative sources of fiscal revenue. Environmental taxes, currently representing only 1% of regional GDP compared to 2% in developed countries, constitute a significant opportunity. The World Bank identifies relevant contrasts in the region. While Chile and Peru have implemented economic policies allowing them to effectively manage price fluctuations, other countries show greater vulnerability to these changes. Projections indicate that Latin America will reach a production of 3.3 million barrels per day by 2030, positioning itself as a world leader. However, the need for hydrocarbons until 2050 or 2060 provides a timeframe for a structured transition. Intra-regional trade, representing barely 15% of the total, shows significant potential for strengthening commercial ties and economic diversification. This situation becomes particularly relevant in the context of geopolitical tensions affecting countries like Guyana. Natural resources constitute up to 50% of regional exports, a figure reflecting both economic potential and vulnerability. The share of fossil fuels in exports has decreased from 21.3% during the commodities boom to 10% in the 2019 to 2021 period. Economic transformation must consider each nation's specific social realities. The strategic use of current resources should be oriented towards social development and building sustainable alternatives. Generalized energy subsidies require re-evaluation to optimize their social impact. To achieve this transformation, the region must promote multifaceted diversification strategies. Investment in renewable energies, leveraging the region's considerable solar and wind potential, represents a great opportunity for job creation and sustainable economic development. The development of the lithium industry in countries like Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia offers a promising route toward energy transition. The digitalization of traditional sectors and the promotion of the knowledge economy could gradually reduce oil dependency. Strengthening sustainable agriculture and bioeconomy, along with investment in green infrastructure and clean technologies, would not only diversify economies but also improve resistance to oil market volatilities. The creation of sovereign funds would allow channeling current oil revenues toward investments in strategic non-oil sectors, thus ensuring a gradual but effective transition. Unfortunately, Latin America faces the challenge of balancing its current economic stability with building a sustainable future, in addition to the limitations that some ideologies, population polarization, or corruption, historically one of the region's most representative problems, may represent. Its privileged geographical position, abundance of natural resources, and competitive operating costs represent significant advantages. The cases of Guyana and Mexico demonstrate the complexities of this transition. While Guyana emerges as a regional export power, Mexico struggles to achieve energy self-sufficiency and diversify its productive matrix. The real challenge consists of managing this transition strategically and equitably, considering the complexities of the global geopolitical scenario and each nation's specific needs. If you liked or found this video helpful, give it a like, or if you prefer, subscribe. We upload videos weekly. See you next time.